My stepsister humiliated me and said that no one would come to my birthday party, but karma caught up with her and a year later no one came to her birthday party. I never expected something as simple as a birthday to change everything between my stepsister and me. Truth is, I grew up thinking our family was normal, even if mom remarried when I was 10. Then came Emma, sharp-tongued, quick to laugh when I stumbled, always first to point out my flaws. She became my stepsister at 13, and from the start, I learned to be careful around her. When my 16th birthday approached, I was excited. I had invited a small group of friends. I thought about it carefully, choosing people who liked gaming, art, and studying with me. I imagined laughter, a messy cake, and music echoing through the living room. I even brought in posters and planned party snacks. Emma pretended to be happy about it, but I could see her eyes. A few days before the party, she cornered me in the hallway near Mom's room. "So, how many are coming? 5? 10? Probably none." Her voice was casual, dripping with mock sympathy. I bristled. "Why do you care?" "Jessica," she sighed, rolling her eyes. "Let's be honest, no one really wants to celebrate with the shy girl." My cheeks burned. I hated silence. I felt myself closing up. "Why don't you just be nice?" She smiled, a small, perfect twist of her lips. "I am just letting you know, that's all. Maybe don't get your hopes up." And just like that, I doubted everything. I tried to frown it off, thanks for the pep talk. But her words stung. I spent the next day double-checking invites, texting friends, making sure they were excited. I even asked a few classmates in person. Yeah, their voices got a little higher when they said they'd come. I held on to that. The day before the party, Emma made another comment, louder this time. She set her coffee mug down next to the fruit punch bowl and said for the whole family to hear, "Don't worry about me, I won't come to Jessica's stupid party." It's lame. Mom gave me a quick, sympathetic glance, but didn't say a word. Dad changed the subject. I heard it all. My party was 2 hours away. I could feel my confidence unraveling, but I pulled it back together. This was my day. I had planned it. I would prove Emma wrong. I would laugh with my friends and lift my head high. On the day itself, I stayed busy. I took out the music playlist I'd made, set up the snacks and decorations, and texted my friends. Most confirmed, yes, they were coming. Yes, they were excited. My best friend Lily even said she'd bring cupcakes and stay late to help me clean up. My mood lifted. I believed Emma didn't matter. Then the doorbell rang. First came Lily, holding a tray of mini cupcakes. She hugged me and said, "You look amazing, ready to party." I smiled the brightest smile I'd ever given. One by one, guests arrived, 16 people in total. Room buzzed with laughter. We danced to songs I'd chosen, played games, and took photos in a little makeshift photo corner. I felt a warm glow throughout the evening, the kind you get when people show up for you, when they genuinely care. And guess who stood in the hallway, arms crossed, lips curled into a smirk? Emma. She watched from the sidelines, and I saw the moment she realized I had a real party. I ignored her, going on with my friends, but she couldn't resist. She stepped into the living room with exaggerated politeness and said, "Wow, lots of people here." Her tone held that same easy disdain. I calmed myself. Didn't look at her. Didn't let her ruin it. A surge of pride filled me, her plan had failed. But suspense didn't end there. Emma's eyes flicked over the crowd and zeroed in on Lily, who was telling a story. Emma rolled her eyes and muttered loud enough for me to hear, "The pity party speech is dull." A few heads turned. I felt it, my face puffed, my heart pounded. Lily froze mid-laugh. There was silence. Then Lily recovered. "Come on, Emma, don't be like that." Emma shrugged and wandered off. The rest of the party smiled at Lily, encouraging her to continue. But the moment left a cold shadow. I apologized to Lily later, even though it wasn't her fault. She brushed it off. "Hey, you're the birthday girl. Let's go up and make a photo booth pic," she said brightly. All night, Emma popped in and out. A drink here, a smirk there. She danced with a couple of guys, tried to get attention, tried to show she belonged, but it was clear who the party was for. Her face hardened. Eventually, she walked out without saying goodbye. When the doorbell stopped ringing and the music faded, I surveyed the wreckage of balloons, confetti, and empty cups. I felt alive. My friends were cleaning up with me, making plans for tomorrow, hugging me. I felt seen. Still, a dull ache remained. I knew Emma hated that I had been proven right. That I had a life she couldn't stomp out with her biting words. It was the sweetest, most satisfying ache of my life. A year passed. I turned 17. Emma had the same dance recital weekend as my birthday. Her friends would come over afterward. She smiled whenever she mentioned it, acting so confident. She told Mom and Dad they didn't have to decorate, her friends would bring everything. But this time, things were different. Emma's smirk faded when roommate Emma from college said she couldn't come, a last-minute exam panic. Her high school friend from the neighborhood got busy with family. Other friends canceled. I watched from the other room as she tried to rearrange people, shift times, add more details. Her voice tightened. I could hear it. That night, while I was studying, Emma stormed through the hallway. Seriously. She spat. Everyone canceled. No one wants to come. You see what that's like? I ignored her. I didn't feel satisfaction or pride, just a hollow ache of empathy and horror. This was real karma, not petty payback. I watched her collapse on the couch, head in hands, regretting every word she'd thrown at me. I wanted to walk over, pat her back, say it's okay. But I stopped myself. Because some lessons need room to breathe. I don't want to make this conclusion only part 1, remember? But the memory of my birthday, the glowing love of friends, and her defeat still buzz in my veins. And I wonder, will pride grow from this? Or will empathy? Or something darker? That's it for today. It's raw, real, and 1/3 done. The days after Emma's failed birthday party felt quiet. Not just in the literal sense, although the house was unusually silent, but emotionally too. She didn't talk about the party at all, and when Mom gently asked if everything was okay, Emma just mumbled, it wasn't a big deal. But I knew it was. You don't decorate the entire living room in pastel pinks, stack plates for 20, and bake 2 cakes if it's not a big deal. She'd spent the whole week hyping it up. I remember overhearing her phone calls, full of laughter and phrases like, it's going to be lit and we'll make TikToks all night. I even saw her practicing her birthday speech in the bathroom mirror once. When no one showed up, I saw something change in her. For the first time since we became stepsisters, Emma didn't walk around with that armor of unshakable confidence. She didn't insult my outfit, didn't roll her eyes at my playlists, didn't make any snide comments at dinner. It was like the air had shifted between us. I kept expecting the old Emma to snap back into place, but she didn't. I should have felt victorious, right? Except I didn't. Instead, something gnawed at me every time I looked at her. She looked lost. There's something unsettling about watching someone who was always so sure of themselves suddenly have no one to talk to. Even her usual Instagram posts slowed to a crawl. The last one of her birthday cake with the caption, "Guess we're doing a solo celebration party popper," sat there like a billboard advertising loneliness. Still, I didn't say anything. Not because I didn't want to, but because I didn't know how to. That weekend, Mom suggested we all go out to dinner to celebrate both birthdays, like a family. Emma didn't argue. She didn't smile either. She just nodded and went back to scrolling on her phone. At the restaurant, she barely touched her food. She let Mom and Dad talk, let me tell a story about school, even chuckled once when Dad made a pun about the waiter's name being Chip. But her eyes weren't in it. They kept drifting. Like she was still waiting for someone to show up for her even now. About 2 weeks later, something strange happened. I was walking home from school when I saw Emma sitting alone on the park swing. Not scrolling her phone, not posing for a story, just sitting, legs dangling, face tilted toward the sky. I almost didn't recognize her like that. She hadn't seen me, and for a few seconds, I just stood there watching. Then she noticed. "Oh," she said, blinking. "You're out early." "Yeah, last class got cancelled." I hesitated. "You okay?" She shrugged. I don't know what came over me, but I sat down on the swing next to her. We didn't talk for a long time. Just the sound of the chains creaking slightly and the wind picking up. Then she said, "You remember your birthday? Last year?" I looked at her. "Yeah." "Why?" She let out a humorless laugh. "I was horrible to you." I didn't say anything. She went on. "I thought it would make me feel better, cutting someone else down. I thought if I made you feel small, maybe I'd feel bigger." She looked down at her shoes. "It's so stupid." I blinked. This was not the Emma I knew. "You really hurt me," I said finally. I didn't raise my voice. I just said it like a fact. You made me doubt my friends. You made me think no one wanted me around. She flinched a little. I know. And the worst part? You still had people show up. People who love you. The swing shifted as she turned to look at me. No one came for me. No one cared. And it crushed me. I felt something inside me soften. People care, I said, quietly. You just pushed them away. There was a long silence between us. Then she nodded. I guess I did. Over the next few weeks, something shifted between us. We weren't suddenly best friends. There were no dramatic sisterly hugs or movie montages. But something about that conversation on the swing opened a door that had been bolted shut for years. One day she knocked on my bedroom door and asked if I wanted help studying for my history test. Another time, I caught her humming along to one of my playlists. She even sat with me and Lily at lunch once awkwardly, but without snide comments. It wasn't perfect. There were still times she slipped into old habits, teased a bit too hard, got too defensive. But I could tell she was trying. And I was trying too, to not hold the past over her like a hammer. I remember asking Lily about it one night while we were doing homework. She's different, I said. Lily nodded slowly. Maybe she learned something. About what? Lily smiled softly. About being alone. But karma wasn't done. You'd think that birthday would be the end of Emma's spiral. But it wasn't. She had more to face. More lessons to learn. And I had to decide whether I wanted to be a witness, a bystander, or something else entirely. Because Emma's biggest reckoning hadn't come yet. But it was on its way. And when it arrived, it would change everything. There's a strange quiet that follows forgiveness. It's not always peaceful. Sometimes it's the kind of quiet that feels like walking through fog. You don't know where you're going, and everything feels uncertain. That's how it felt between Emma and me. We weren't fighting anymore, but we weren't close either. We circled each other like satellites, pulled into a fragile orbit that neither of us fully understood. School went on. Life returned to its usual rhythm: tests, group projects, weekend hangouts. But Emma had changed in ways that didn't always show up immediately. It was subtle. She started showing up to class on time. She stopped interrupting teachers or throwing side comments at other girls. She wasn't the center of every hallway conversation anymore, and you could see it bothered her, but she didn't try to fight it. Then one afternoon, something unexpected happened. It was late March. I was at home working on a final paper when I heard Emma slam her door shut. Not angrily, more like in shock. I heard her footsteps storm past my room, then double back. A moment later, she knocked. Can I talk to you? I looked up, surprised. Sure. She walked in, holding her phone in both hands like it had betrayed her. Look at this. I glanced at the screen. It was an Instagram post from a girl named Lexi, one of Emma's longtime friends. At least, I thought they were friends. The caption read, "Some people are only around when they're on top. Funny how quiet it gets when the spotlight moves." And the photo? A group selfie with Lexi, two other girls from their friend group, and a caption tagged #NewEra. Emma's name wasn't in it. No invite, she said flatly. Nothing. I didn't even know they were hanging out without me. I stared at the screen, unsure what to say. Emma sank onto the edge of my bed. I know I've been, a lot. But I didn't think they'd just cut me out. I paused. Have you talked to them? She shook her head. What would I say? That I finally got over myself and now I want a seat at the table again? She laughed bitterly. They'd eat me alive. For a moment, she looked so much younger, like a kid who got left behind on a field trip. I sat down beside her. Maybe it's not about getting back in, I said gently. Maybe it's about finding people who don't need you to be on top to want you around. She didn't say anything, but she didn't roll her eyes either. That was something. Over the next few weeks, Emma drifted more and more. She stopped posting as much. She didn't hang out with her old group. She spent more time at home. At first, I thought it was just a phase. Then one night, around midnight, I heard muffled sobs through the wall we shared. Not dramatic sobs, the kind that someone tries to hide, even from themselves. The next morning, I left a cup of tea outside her door with a sticky note, "You're not alone. Jay." She didn't say anything, but the cup was empty when I came back from school. From that point on, something shifted for real. She started talking to me not just as her stepsister, but like a person. She'd ask about my art projects, sit on the edge of my bed while I talked about college applications. One time, she even helped me paint the background for a project. We listened to my playlist while we worked, and she didn't complain once. I used to think I had to be the main character all the time, she said suddenly. I looked at her. I thought if people weren't looking at me, I'd disappear. I didn't know what to say. So I said the only thing I could. I see you. She smiled then, small, but real. Summer came faster than I expected. With it came big changes. I got accepted into a summer art program 2 hours away. It was my first time living away from home for more than a weekend. Emma helped me pack. I'm gonna miss you, weirdo, she said, zipping my suitcase. I smirked. Don't get soft on me now. She rolled her eyes, but her voice was gentle. I mean it. You're the only person who ever actually talked to me like I mattered. Even when I didn't deserve it. I didn't respond. I just hugged her. Harder than I ever had before. While I was away, Emma started messaging me more. Sometimes just short texts. Emma, remember when I said no one would come to your party? Me, yeah? Emma, I think about that a lot. Other times, she'd send updates. Emma, got a job at the bookstore. You'd love the manager, total nerd. Emma, made brownies today. Ruined the first batch. Mom laughed so hard she cried. We weren't just coexisting anymore. We were slowly becoming sisters. Real ones. Then, just when I thought things were finally smoothing out, life threw one more curveball. It was a Thursday. I was sketching by the lake outside my dorm when I got a call from Mom. Her voice was strained. Jess. I didn't want to bother you during your program, but something's happened with Emma. My stomach clenched. What happened? She was caught up in some drama online. A rumor started about her and one of her old friends. Things got ugly. Screenshots, stories, even her job got involved. What? I said, standing up. She's okay, physically. But emotionally? I think she's barely holding it together. I felt that ache in my chest again, the one I thought I'd buried. I'll come home this weekend. I didn't know it then, but what I walked into that weekend would change the way I saw Emma and myself forever. Because sometimes, karma doesn't just teach you lessons. Sometimes, it asks you who you're going to be after you've learned them. I took the early morning train home. The familiar landscapes passed by in a blur: cornfields, quiet towns, backyards full of rusted trampolines and tired laundry lines. I kept checking my phone, half expecting a message from Emma. But there was nothing. Just the last unread text from Mom: try not to overwhelm her when you get here. She's been quiet. Guarded. It was strange, this feeling. I'd grown so used to Emma being loud emotionally and literally that the thought of her being quiet unsettled me. Silence from Emma felt like a storm no one saw coming. When I got home, the first thing I noticed was the tension. Not dramatic, just still. Mom greeted me with a hug, eyes full of unsaid things. Dad was out, probably giving space. And Emma? She was upstairs. Door closed. Music off. I knocked, gently. No answer. I waited a beat, then spoke softly, "It's me." A few seconds passed, then the door creaked open. Emma stood there in a hoodie 3 sizes too big, eyes rimmed with red. She didn't say anything. Just stepped aside to let me in. Her room was dark. Blinds drawn. Laptop closed. I sat on the floor beside her bed while she perched on the edge. I messed up, she said. I looked up. What happened? She inhaled slowly. Remember Lexi? The friend who posted that birthday picture last year? I nodded. Well, she got dumped by her boyfriend. And for some reason, she decided I was the reason. Said I flirted with him? Which I didn't. At all. But she's loud online, and people believe her. I stayed quiet, listening. She posted screenshots. Twisted stuff. Out of context. And when I tried to defend myself, her voice broke. It just made it worse. She pressed her palms to her eyes. The bookstore manager told me to take a temporary break. Which is basically code for, we don't want the drama here. I didn't know what to say. Not because I didn't care, but because for the first time, Emma wasn't asking for pity or spinning the story in her favor. She was just telling it. Straight. No filters. And the worst part, she whispered. I looked at her. No one stood up for me. Not a single one of those friends. Not even to say, hey, this seems off. She gave a shaky laugh. Guess I finally found out how much loyalty my popularity bought me. I reached out, gently resting my hand on her knee. I'm here, I said. She didn't cry. She didn't hug me. But her hand found mine. And that was enough. Over the next few days, I stayed home. Not because Emma asked me to, but because it felt right. We'd watch old shows, eat cereal at midnight, and go for silent walks around the neighborhood. She didn't say much about the rumors. She didn't need to. Her silence said enough. On the fourth night, we were lying on the trampoline in our backyard. The stars were faint, but we watched them anyway. Do you ever wish you could go back? She asked suddenly. Go back to when? Before all of this. Before I got mean. I turned my head to look at her. I don't know, I said honestly. Back then, you didn't talk to me. At least now I know who you are. She was quiet for a moment. Then said, I don't know who I am anymore. I nodded. That's okay. Most people don't. She let out a breath. I think I thought being mean made me strong. I was quiet. I used to wake up and decide what version of myself would survive that day. Funny, right? Not funny, I said. Just sad. She swallowed. Yeah. The internet drama faded eventually. As it always does. People moved on to new gossip. Lexi's followers lost interest when another girl started dating a football player. The screenshots became old news. But something inside Emma didn't bounce back. Not the way I expected. She didn't start posting again. She didn't try to win anyone back. She just stayed still. Focused on the few people who stayed. Which, honestly, wasn't many. Except me. One day, she knocked on my door. No makeup. Hair in a frizzy bun. Can I ask you something? She said. I nodded. If I wanted to, fix things. Really fix them. Not just cover them up. Where do I even start? I looked at her. Really looked. And I said, you already started. When school resumed after summer, we walked in together. People stared a little. Whispers floated behind us. Some remembered the drama. Some didn't care. But I stayed next to her, shoulders aligned, because I knew what it took for her to be there. To show up. To walk through those doors after everything. At lunch, she sat with me and Lily. No apology speech. No explanation. Just presence. Lily raised an eyebrow when Emma sat down. Emma gave a small smile. I know I'm the last person who deserves a spot here. But I'm here anyway. Lily looked at me, then back at her. Took you long enough? Emma blinked. You're not mad? Oh, I'm furious, Lily said. But you're owning it. That's rare. You sit here, you earn it. Day by day. And that was that. But the biggest shift came the week before my 18th birthday. Emma knocked on my door again. She held a box. Inside? A photo album. Handmade. Pages filled with old family pictures, drawings, even screenshots of texts I'd sent her over the years. On the last page, she'd written. You were always there. Even when I didn't deserve you. Happy birthday, Jess. I hope this is the start of something better. Love. Emma. I stared at it for a long time. Then I hugged her. Longer and harder than before. Karma did catch up to Emma. Not in some dramatic movie way, where everything explodes in fire and betrayal. But in the quiet aftermath of choices she thought didn't matter. It stripped her down, broke her armor, made her start over. And what grew in its place? Something real. Something vulnerable. Something human. I never thought I'd say this, but my 18th birthday was the most peaceful day of my life. Not because it was perfect. It wasn't. The cake was a little too dry. Someone spilled soda on the couch. The speakers cut out halfway through a playlist. But it was mine. And this time, I didn't spend the day wondering who would show up or whether someone would try to ruin it. Everyone who came wanted to be there. There was laughter. Real, warm, echoing laughter. People sat in circles on the floor, trading stories and inside jokes. Lily wore a handmade crown that said birthday bodyguard and kept threatening to kick anyone out who didn't compliment me at least once. Emma was the one who made the crown. She spent most of the party flitting between helping Mom refill snacks and quietly chatting with people she'd once called nobodies. And you know what? They responded to her not with forced smiles, but with cautious curiosity. Like they were watching someone they'd written off try to rewrite herself, and were willing, just barely, to give her that chance. Near the end of the night, when the crowd had thinned and music had faded to a background hum, Emma pulled me aside. "Can I tell you something?" she asked, standing by the kitchen island. I nodded, still holding a half-eaten cookie. She took a deep breath. I thought karma would feel like punishment. Like losing everything, watching it all fall apart. I waited. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was realizing I didn't just lose friends. I lost time. Time I could have spent being good, kind, real. She looked down at the counter, tracing the edge with her fingertip. I wasted so much of it trying to be the center of attention that I didn't notice I was pushing everyone out of the room. The words hung in the air between us, soft but heavy. "You can't change the past," I said. "But you've changed. And that's something." She looked up at me, eyes glassy but steady. "You think they see it? The others?" "I think the ones who matter will." We stood there a moment longer before Lily called from the living room, "Hey Jess, it's your birthday, stop being emotionally supportive and come open your gift." We both laughed. That night, after everyone left and the dishes were stacked and the candles finally flickered out, Emma and I sat on the front steps of the house. The porch light buzzed above us. Crickets filled the air with their endless, lazy rhythm. "I used to think I had to be better than everyone to be liked," she said, sipping her tea. I glanced at her. "And now? Now I think, maybe you just have to be honest. Even when you're a mess." I smiled. Being a mess is pretty relatable. She chuckled, pulling her knees to her chest. "You know, a year ago I would have rolled my eyes at that." "I know. I hated how people liked you. Quiet, artsy, not even trying. You made that pretty obvious." She laughed harder this time, a little embarrassed. "Yeah. Sorry." I nudged her with my shoulder. "You're not the same person." She let out a slow breath. "I hope not." In the months that followed, we grew into something that looked a lot like real sisterhood. Not perfect. Not without arguments or old habits creeping in. But real. She joined a book club at school. Started volunteering at the animal shelter. She even took a break from social media, said it helped her stop performing and start just being. One night, I came home late from an art class, and she was sitting on the couch watching a documentary. "Wanna watch it with me?" she asked, scooting over. I blinked. "You're watching a documentary? Willingly?" She tossed a pillow at me. "Shut up and sit down." I did. And we watched in silence, passing a bowl of popcorn back and forth like we'd done it 100 times. Like we'd always been sisters. Sometimes I still think about that first birthday. The way Emma looked at me like I was invisible. The way she laughed when she said no one would come. I remember the sting, the way it made me question everything. But I also remember the night she sat on the park swing and told me she was lost. I remember the photo album she gave me. I remember how hard she worked, slowly, painfully, to rebuild something she didn't even know she'd broken. Karma isn't about revenge. It's about reckoning. And Emma? She faced hers with tears, awkward apologies, and shaky first steps. And somehow, in the mess of all that, she found something better than a spotlight. She found herself. Thanks for sticking through the whole story. This wasn't just about a mean stepsister or a ruined party. It was about growth. About the quiet kind of redemption that happens not all at once, but piece by piece. And maybe, just maybe, about how even the most broken bridges can be rebuilt. If both sides are willing to cross. Thank you for watching the video, like it if you watched the video to the end and don't forget to subscribe. Have a nice day.